Hey, Bridgeway Church. I'm here with Minister Noel Park, and we had the honor today of representing our church in going into downtown Baltimore today. We were down at North and Penn in the Sandtown area, right next to the CVS store that got burned out last night. And we did this in partnership with Faith Christian Fellowship, which is in the Penn Lucy area of Baltimore, planted by Craig and Maria Garriott over 3 decades ago. So I've had some previous affiliation with the church and didn't want to go down there alone. So always bring a brother with you, right, Noel? Traveling twos.
Right.
And so we went down together. And Noel, was this how much experience have you had with inner city urban type of settings, and especially when something hostile like this broke out? Was this a learning for you?
Uh, the, this is the very first time I came to the city, middle of that situation.
Yeah.
But in my country, Korea, there is a lot of happening heat like this. So apparently that was familiar for me.
Right.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, this time I experienced uh, the happening after the happening. Yeah, so we cleaned the street and pray for others, and that was really powerful.
Okay. So we went down there with Craig and Maria Garriott.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Craig and his wife Maria are lead this church, Faith Christian Fellowship, and Maria is an author, and Maria wrote a book called A Thousand Resurrections. It's an urban spiritual journey. It's her story of their family raising 5 kids in the Penn Lucy, very impoverished area, and sort of some of the journeys and the lessons. And Noel, what did you think about Craig and Maria and the way they handled people as we made our way about? Any learnings from that?
Uh, it was it was really impressed for me because if I were a person who expect earning more money or a better life, that it's really hard to do that. But
Mm.
they were really devoted persons.
Mm.
Then they really think of their cities. They want to take care of the cities in
Yeah,
their areas.
yeah.
That was really
So
nice.
their Faith Christian Fellowship is a
Mm-hmm.
part of the CCDA, which is the Christian Community Development Association, an organization that John Perkins began some years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they embrace a relocation model. So actually, if you want to minister to impoverished people, you relocate and you move in with them.
Mm-hmm.
And many people in their church have actually moved into the impoverished Penn Lucy area to try to make a difference. And reconciliation, which is a big core value at Bridgeway, and redistribution are the kind of the 3 R's of Christian community development. But when we were with Pastor Craig today, he
Mm-hmm.
shared that 3 point model with us in the pickup truck on the
Mm-hmm.
way down there, which I really liked as he was sharing about the way to minister in these communities in times of crisis. First is to bring relief. So you need to bring immediate relief. So that's a ministry that we can have. And then after that, to develop strategies for development so that the community can thrive and they can have business models for themselves. And then the other thing which was interesting was reform, and how he was saying some of the laws actually work against impoverished people, and to try to bring reform so that gentrification doesn't displace them out of their communities and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it was educational for me to sit in his presence and to hear a little bit about this community
Right.
development model.
Yeah. Same for me.
So, are you looking forward to Maria's book?
Of course.
So it'll be great. There are great stories in there. I've read it before, and I think that you'll definitely enjoy that.
I forgot to get her sign.
Right, we forgot to get her started. Maria, we might need to reach out to you. So, Noel, one of the things we've talked about, which I thought was worth sharing, is our agenda versus God's agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, the agenda I thought I was embracing was to carry a broom and a shovel and to help clean up the streets.
Right.
I was so impacted that by the time we got there, the streets were already clean.
Right. Almost Yeah, it was really clean.
So many citizens came out at like 6 a.m. in the morning to clean the streets,
Wow.
to retake the city, so to speak. So it impressed me that there's only a minority of troublemakers.
Hmm.
Now, if you watch the media, certainly they're highlighting uh, the most caustic situations.
Right.
But there's so many people of the city were not engaging in troublemaking,
Hmm.
and were there to pick up the mess afterwards.
Right.
And so our agenda actually became engaging people, talking to people, hearing their story,
Hmm.
and even having some opportunities to pray for people.
Right. Pray together.
So several times we were able to grasp hands and to pray with people who were
Hmm.
people in the city.
Right.
I was particularly impacted by a young African American man by the name of Ricky, who was very concerned about gentrification and people being displaced from the city, and how he felt like there was almost a drug dealer mentality by
Hmm.
providing pharmaceuticals and alcohol through legitimate businesses in his own community. He was very concerned about that. And then also Shirley, who stopped by with her friend,
Hmm.
they were going down there to pray as well, and
Right.
so they wanted to get in on some prayer time. And maybe what impacted me most was praying with a lady by the name of Yolanda, who had
Mm.
just 4 days ago had gotten beat up. Her It was very evident in her eye. So when asked about it, she said that she was mugged by a man and a woman, and almost seemed resigned that you know she didn't have enough dignity to even rise above that.
Hmm.
Didn't feel any more worthy than that. So an
Right.
opportunity to help her to see that maybe that she's fearfully and wonderfully made and bears the image of God,
Hmm.
and to pray
Right.
for God's comfort in that, and for her to have an appropriate view of herself in light of the fact that she's created in the image of God. So those were some of the things that were encouraging to me. Uh, Noel, Pastor Blake, the youth pastor,
Hmm.
what did you think about what he did to get the youth involved?
So they were talking about how can we understand this situation in Baltimore downtown. But I thought that was very they had a good balance between because there is black people and also there were white people.
Hmm.
There were high school students, middle school students, and also adults. So their perspective can be balanced, more balanced.
Yeah,
So that was really it looked really good.
very much so. Very, very diverse group that we
Right,
went down with.
right.
When we were done with our little assignment, we met at New Song Church in Sandtown, which is sort of a partner ministry
Mhm.
of Faith Christian Fellowship. The two youth pastors engaged the students. What are you feeling at this time? And what would be some appropriate responses at this time? And letting the students talk and just valuing their opinion.
Right.
This is something our own Dave Heiliger shared on the news, ABC News, last night,
Mhm.
about just engaging the students and listening, letting them have a voice. So I was impressed by that, and so impressed that in the Penn Lucie area, these kids don't have transportation, and they didn't have school today. So
Mhm.
Blake just got the church van, drove around the community, started picking up kids,
Mhm.
and we had a dozen, 15 kids who went down there with us to help them to see that they have enough dignity to make a difference in their city. They don't have to allow this to happen to their city. They can make a difference. So those were some learnings that I had. So Noel, it was my pleasure to spend the morning with you,
No, it was my privilege to be there with you.
and it was also I'm grateful for a church like Bridgeway that has a heart for the community,
Mhm.
and put us on loan today
Mhm.
and loaned us out to another ministry and allowed us to serve.
Right.
So we wanted to report back to you, Bridgeway, on our time this morning. I hope you're encouraged by it, and we concluded with a time of prayer back at Faith Christian Fellowship with their elders and some of their congregants. And we focused on Psalm 122, which is really pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That was their town.
Mhm.
Baltimore's our town. And so we prayed for the peace of Baltimore. And we were glad to represent you on that journey. Thanks, Noel.
Thanks so much.